Welcome back to the Atlas Masterclass. Today we're in Korea and we're making a fried cauliflower, and it's going to be served with some rice and also some pickled cucumber. So this dish is inspired by Korean fried chicken. So usually they'll make a glaze, fry off the chicken, toss it all together, but we've decided to make it into a vegetarian dish and it's an absolute cracker. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by actually cutting our cucumber and making a pickle, and we'll get all our vegetables ready before we start. So just get your cucumber, we're going to cut it on the side into just some nice small pieces. Now we'll be ready for our pickle. Then we've got our spring onion. So the spring onion we're just going to cut on the diagonal, and we're going to keep the white and the green separate. So just cutting them nice and thin. So that's the white part. The white part will be mixed with this cucumber to make a pickle. And then the green part we're going to use as a nice garnish for the actual dish. So take your time, use a sharp knife and cut them nice and thin. Just like so. And then we've got our lemon next. So just cutting the top and tail off that. Cutting into quarters. And then I just take the middle out like so. And that's just making a really nice wedge. And that will be squeezed on top, so just adding that bit of acidity and that kick to this dish. So I really like, using a bit of acid in these sorts of flavours. Just makes it, really takes it to that next level. Then last but not least, we've got our broccolini. So just take a little bit of the ends off just to make sure they're nice and clean. And of course, I should have mentioned washing all your vegetables before you start. And now with that cauliflower, we're just going to cut it into some nice bigger wedges. So just cutting like off the core, like so, and then just splitting it down the middle. And there we are. And last but not least for the prep, we just need to prepare the garlic as well. So just going to take the skin off those and then just cut them up really nice and finely, just sort of mincing it. Good little technique for doing so. Once you get the outside off, make sure they're nice clean, and just crush it like that against the board. And there we're going to have our lovely garlic, so nice and fine, chopping, 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 and that's going to be nice in the dish. So punchy garlic flavour as well through this dish, something that's super important in Korean cuisine, and you're going to go big with the flavour on this one. So in a second we'll get cooking. So now to make the cucumber and spring onion pickle, I'm just going to add that into a bowl, like so. And then we add in half the soy, and saving the rest for the glaze. Most of our rice wine vinegar, just leave a little bit for the glaze as well. And then a good pinch of white sugar. Then that there, give that a nice mix, just like so. And we're ready for that to just marinate nicely. As well, let's get our rice in cooking. So boiling water, adding our rice in, and then we're going to start making our glaze. So to make our glaze, we're going to add in 2 teaspoons of brown sugar per person. So just getting that from your cupboard. If you don't have any brown sugar, you can use white sugar, just gives a slightly different flavour. The provided gochujang paste, I want to get all of that. Add in the rest of the soy, the rest of the rice vinegar, the sesame oil, and of course our minced garlic. So with this one now, leaving that all there, I go wash my hands and just let that come to the boil, and just sort of cook it for about 2 minutes or so. It will start to thicken, and then that's when we know we're going to be ready. We'll start frying our cauliflower, roll it through that, and then we're going to be serving this delicious dish. So now I'm just going to make the batter for the cauliflower. So what I do is I add the rice flour in with equal parts water, so just measuring that out. And then I've got a little whisk over here, or you can use a fork, just mixing that together, whatever you feel comfortable with. and just let that sit for a minute or two. So now we've mixed our rice flour and water. So you don't want to add all the water in at the start, I should have mentioned that, because you might want to get it a little bit thicker. So this sort of consistency where I can sort of draw a figure 8 in it using the whisk, like so, and I can see it. I know it's going to stick to the cauliflower. That's really important. So now I'm going to get that in, give that a good mix, and then we'll start cooking the cauliflower. So I go quite a lot of oil in the pan, turning that up. And I've also taken my glaze off, so you can see that there, it's thickened up really nicely, like so. Super sticky and delicious, so that's going to be really nice as well, and balanced with the sweetness of the sugar. That's sort of the important step. Just giving this cauliflower really good mix through this to make sure it's all coated nicely. Makes a big difference. You're going to get the most delicious, you know, rice sort of texture on this. So we'll get that sort of softness that we expect from rice, but it'll also get a little bit of crunch if we can get this done properly, and it makes all the difference. So really nicely mix it all. And if I look at that there, I might say need to touch more of the flour, and I might just add a little bit more, just slightly thicken it. You just want to make sure it's really coating it, which in turn will make sure it sticks on it. If it's too wet, although it will give a nice crunch, it does sort of come off and defeats the purpose. So you can see there, nice and liquidy, will drip through the fingers. The oil's warming up, and then we'll be ready to start cooking these. So you can see it really does coat it though. And now we're just going to take our time to fry these off. So don't overcrowd the pan. If you're cooking for a lot of people, I'd just suggest just doing it in stages. Just do a little bit at a time, get them cooked nicely, and then you can worry about it. You want to see this sort of bubbling around the edge. That means it's frying, and then you just fry it till it's nice and golden, take it out, and then we'll mix it through the glaze. So now we're going to cook our broccolini. So add the steamer basket on top of our rice, put the lid on, and we'll cook that for the final 2 minutes of the rice cooking. Whilst we've also got our cauliflower cooking up really nicely, like so. So yeah, you just want to let sort of this golden colour form on all sides, and just make sure you do it that way. And if you don't want to use one of these a Chinese steamer basket, what you can do as well is just adding the broccolini straight in to the actual thing, into the rice. So now we'll take our broccolini off, and we're also going to take our rice off. So that will just sit nicely on the side while the cauliflower is cooking. Just straight onto the chopping board with that. Just pouring this off into my strainer over here. So we've got the rice ready, gochujang sauce ready. We've got our broccolini ready, it's all steamed. Cucumber pickles happened. Just give that a nice mix. And there we are. We'll be cooking this cauliflower, and then we'll be ready to enjoy it. So now our cauliflower is cooked. So I'm just going to take them out just nicely. If you're cooking for a lot of people, now's probably a good time to put them onto the side, let the oil drip off them so they stay nice and crunchy. And you could even leave them just warm in a warm oven, just they can warm through and stay nice and hot while you cook the rest of them. So if you're cooking for a big group, I'd recommend that, just so you sort of get the best of the dish. And just make sure they are cooked through, so if you need to get like a knife and just sort of poke in the centre if it's nice and soft, which that is, but golden on the outside. Cauliflower does eat very nicely raw as well, but I think that for the point of this dish is to have it nice and soft in the middle and a bit crunchy on the outside. And then what I'll do, just rolling it through that glaze, and as you can see, they'll start to get the most stunning colour from that gochujang. The sugar will stick to it, smells incredible, and it almost looks like fried chicken. So there we are. And now to serve this dish, what we're going to do is I get our rice, so the cooked sushi rice, putting that off to the side like so. Getting our broccolini. So the broccolini is really something really nice and fresh for this dish. I love the flavour of it. Using some lemon as well. and then we'll go on with our lovely glazed cauliflower. If you thicken the sauce too much, so if you need to get a bit more sauce, just add a splash of water, like a very small amount, just to bring it back together. If you find that it's sort of, if you've over reduced or it gets too sticky or you don't have enough, just a little splash of water will loosen it all up. Then I'm going on top with some spring onion like that, a little bit of sesame on top. So that there is our Korean fried cauliflower. So we've got the acid of the lemon, we've got the broccolini, the rice, of course, that really crunchy but soft cauliflower that's I'm really, really happy with. Just looks beautiful, smells delicious as well. And then last but not least, we're just going to finish with our cucumber pickles. So just letting some of that liquid drip off. You don't want them to be just sitting in the liquid, but you want that really beautiful crunch. So I find a nice way to eat this dish, if you're using, say, chopsticks, is to sort of eat the chicken and then use these little bits of cucumber almost as like a palate cleanser. And that there is our Korean fried cauliflower.